about information technology. Basically, what is information technology? And as you know that this course has been introduced in the FYUP curriculum, and especially it has been introduced over the whole spectrum of the courses, be it arts side, be it commerce, be it sciences. This course has been made mandatory. It's a fundamental course that you are reading, right? So let us see why this has been introduced and why it is so important for us that we are supposed to go through it. So in today's lecture, we are going to discuss the information technology, principles, practices and the opportunities. The plan of talk would include the shift happening in today's scenario. Basically, we will be discussing both the global and the national shift, and then why this shift is happening, the cause of it, the information technology. We will be discussing the evolution, implications and applications. I'll begin with this quote that if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. That's very important. Let us start from here. Shift happens, and it is happening very fast in higher education. Did you know the rate at which the number of users are changing? Did you know the pace at which job profiles are changing? The students of 2013 batch, I think all the students who are sitting here are of 2013 batch, they would be graduating in 2017. That means we are currently preparing our students for jobs that don't yet exist. Students are being trained for technologies which haven't been invented till now. Students are being prepared in order to solve problems. We don't even know our problems yet. Did you know the number of web users? There are over 106 million web users in MySpace. That means 106 million web users means that if it were a country, it would be ranked 11th in the whole world. That means we are living in exponential times. This is an exponential time. The amount of data which is being created and which is being traveling in the whole world is changing exponentially. These are a few things. More than 3,000 new books are being published every day. A lot of creation of data, a lot of creation of information is taking. Right. And the amount of new technical information is doubling every 2 years. That means for a student who's starting a 4-year course in Delhi University, what is happening is that half of what they learn in the first year will get outdated in their third year, isn't it? The amount of technical information, the technology is changing every year. That means you don't need to take a long weekend, you need to work. And how? Did you know the rate at which the data will flow in future? Basically the third generation fiber optics, which is prevalent nowadays, how much data it is carrying? It can carry 10 trillion bits per second down a single optical fiber. Now what does that mean actually? 10 trillion bits of information per second. What does it mean? It simply means that 1900 CDs or 150 million phone calls per second. That is the amount of data an optical fiber of third generation can carry. Okay? What does it all mean? It means shift happens. And now you know. This is the shift that I was talking about. As you can see, very soon this shift is also impacting, it is having an impact on our education. The system is changing completely. The system is going from analog to digital. This is the change, as you can see. Analog is being changed into digital. Digital is everywhere, be it mobiles, be it journals, be it movies, be it music, everywhere it is digital. Earlier, we were connected with the tethered system, right? Now we have mobiles. We can carry with us mobiles everywhere. Earlier we were isolated. Today we are connected to the whole world. Earlier the information was generic. Today we demand personal information. Earlier we were consuming whatever information was being given to us. Today we are creating information, isn't it? And of course we are moving from closed to open system. And this is nothing but due to the information technology. Alright, so the evolution of information age, as I told you, that earlier we had agriculture age up till 1800s, and after 1800s, the machines and industries were there, and that age was known as industrial age, where work processes were simplified due to mechanization and automation. And after 1957, the age of information age was started basically. And this is the age where majority of workers are involved in creation, distribution and application of the information. You see, these three things are very important. First, they are involved in creation of knowledge, creation of information, then the dissemination or distribution of knowledge, and then the application. And these workers we know today are called knowledge workers. So this is the basic comparative chart that we have, and you can see here that the partnership during agricultural age was between people and land, whereas in industrial age it is people and machines, whereas in information age it is people and people, right? So this is people and people, partnership between people and people. And again, the principal tools. In agricultural age it is hand tool, for industrial age it is machines, and for information age it is information technology. That is what we are studying today, right? And basically information technology is providing us the means to recreate, rethink and re-engineer different processes, right? So that is the power of information technology. Re-engineering, that means, and there is one more difference between industrial age and the information age. Basically in industrial age there was division of labor. You had specialized workers for special type of works, right? Whereas in information age it is a teamwork. There is no specialization, there is teamwork, there is interconnection, and the most important thing, there is shared information. Google is full of information which everyone can access. What is Wikipedia? Nothing but shared information, right? So today is the era of shared information, teamwork and interconnection. This is information age, right? And this is one example. As you can see, this is a company which is taking place, which has various facets, and all of them are interconnected with the help of information technology, and it is giving a boost to the whole thing, right? So the information is getting shared, everything is interconnected, and everything is there because of information technology. So this is the characteristic, basic characteristic of information technology, right? Also, we find information technology embedded in so many systems of our day-to-day life. For example, I've taken this example. This is the IT which is embedded in personal travel, right from starting from booking your ticket from your houses, right? On board, aeroplane, everything is IT. You are calling for rental cars, rental taxis, everything is IT. So everywhere this is embedded in our day-to-day system. And so what is information technology? We are talking about information technology. Can you tell me what is technology first? Can anyone tell me what is technology? How will you define technology? Technology is something that, some kind of process, some kind of machine, some kind of process which is making our life simpler, right? Basically, it's the extension of our natural abilities. For example, wheel. Wheel is nothing but a technology. Electrical bulb is a technology, right? Agriculture is a technology. So, what is information technology? Information technology is a combination or a variety of items and the abilities which are used in creation, storage and dissemination of data and information. As I told you, these three words are very important. Storage, basically creation, storage and dispersal of data. Alright, so the three forces of information technology are computers, communication and know-how. And computers, as you know, involves hardware, software and information. And then we have the communication. Communication will also involve some kind of hardware, some programs, and of course the flow of information, transmitting and receiving of information. And then the know-how. Now know-how will depend upon people, applications and procedures. So let us start with computers. Computers come in four sizes, as you all know. It's microcomputers, mid-range computers, mainframes and supercomputers. And then we have the examples for microcomputers as you have in front of you: desktop computers, notebooks or laptops, tablet PCs, personal digital assistants which are normally called as PDAs and palm PCs. Then we have the communication network. A communication network is the backbone of information technology, because without any communication network you cannot really have a flow of information, right? So it has to be very, very robust, very much dependent on communication network. And then we have the know-how. So know-how is the familiarity with tools of IT, and basically this is what you are going to do in this particular course. You will be having a know-how of the tools of various IT, which includes the internet, of course. Then you will be, the next know-how, the requirement for know-how is the position of skills to need to use these tools, right? This is what we will be doing. We will be seeing how we can use various softwares to our, how we want to use them, and then the understanding when to use IT to solve a problem, to create an opportunity. This is very important. So, The 6 functions of information technology are: number 1, process, generate, store, retrieval and transmit. Let us study them one by one. Capture. Capture is basically, the process of compiling detailed record of activities. Any record of activities, compiling the record of activities is nothing but capture. Then we have the processing. Basically, processing is once we have the detailed record of activities, we can compile them, we can analyze them, we can process them, we can synthesize all of them into some kind of data or information. And as you know, we can have different types of processing. We can have data processing. We can have data processing is nothing but MS Excel that you do. Then you can have word processing. There are so many softwares for word processing. Then you have information processing, image processing, voice processing, etc. These are various kinds of processing that are available. Then once the data or information is there, basically to organize, the process of organizing data or information into something useful is known as generation. Basically, this is the part where we are creating information. Alright? And finally, the fourth and fifth part is storage. Storage is, something, data where somewhere is, data is stored in computer. That is storage. But what is retrieval? Retrieval is basically when we ask the computer to fetch a data from the CPU. Basically, it should know the location where it is there. Right? So, to fetch a data from a location and reproduce it for further transmission. This is retrieval. And finally, the sixth part is the transmission. That is the basically distributing information or disseminating information, and it can be done through emails or voicemail and lots of other methods. And now we have the benefits of information technology, which are absolutely clear. The speed is there, the consistency, the precision and reliability. All 4 aspects are guaranteed to us. So, as we can see around us, information technology is ubiquitous. It is all around us, improving our lives. Be it television, education, training, entertainment, you name it, you have it. In all the facets of our life, information technology is prevalent, right? Be it money, investments, sports, taxation, accounting, everywhere information technology is playing a very, very important role. Hence it is very important to understand it, right? One of the important things one more thing is that basically, as it is prevalent in all the different facets of our life, it is simply helping people and solving different problems. One of the topics that I am going to cover here is IT for decision makers. Now, who are the decision makers? Decision makers are the government. And IT has been forming a very, very important role in the decision making of government. And this is nothing but e-governance. You must have heard about it, e-governance. So what is e-governance? Basically, it is the ability to obtain government services through non-traditional electronic means. Earlier, if you had to get an information from a government organization, you had to go there, you had to write an application, you had to stand in queue and get that information. Right now, due to the presence of information technology, the different portals of government sites, at the click of a mouse, you can have the information right in front of you. Right? So this is nothing but e-governance, and here IT plays a very, very important role. Basically, IT is the backbone of e-governance, right? IT forms the backbone of e-governance, and what do we get from here? We get, basically, it is simply making the government more accessible, right? It is making the information provider more empowered, right? There is more transparency in government functions, okay? Then quality of service is also improved, and it is very, very cost effective. You don't have to, it's paperless kind of job, right? No bureaucracy involved. You can have the information at the click of your button, right? If you remember, right now this election commission had opened its site for you to register on voter ID cards, right? Earlier it was that when you had to do it, you had to go there, take a form, get your photographs and the documents, submit them, and later on it used to be there that after maybe a month or so the card will be available. Right now, at the click of a button, all the forms were available online. You had to fill it, you had to upload your photograph, and you had your name registered in the voter ID. So that is how the IT is making the life simpler. Alright. So what is e-governance? E basically stands for electronic or digital, but we would say that E stands for more effective, E stands for efficient, empowerment, and enterprising. This is one example of public access to government services. from a single kiosk or from a single portal, all these services which I have mentioned, news, briefings, policy inputs, complaints, registration of deaths in marriages, etc., everything is available on one portal. So it's basically making our lives much simpler. Okay? And this is one example. Gyan Dooth project, it's a Government of India project where there are 32 kiosks, and there all the information about land records, government, what kind of grant is available, some new grant is coming up or some available grant is there. All these things are available on the Gyan Dooth project, right? So this is one example of e-governance that we have. So finally, to sum up, information and communication technology carries a very high promise both in human and economic terms. Benefits can be obtained in education, job training, medicine, healthcare, food security, environment, government efficiency, and especially in terms of science and technology, as I think most of you are science students sitting out here, it's very important because now it is speeding up the dissemination of scientific results. The moment you have some kind of scientific result, it is known to the whole world. So dissemination of scientific results is taking place very fast. And number two, it is allowing us to set up virtual labs. Virtual labs are nothing but a product of IT, right? So basically IT, so to sum it all, IT is playing a very important role, and without understanding IT, it is really next to impossible to survive in this world, right? And hence, now you would appreciate why this course has been introduced as your FC in the FYUP, right? So to survive in this world is very important, but I will end up with this quote: it is not necessary to change. Survival is not mandatory. PowerPoint presentation.